Hi folks, welcome to Water Wonders. I'm Professor Priscilla.
And I'm Ricky Raindrop.
And today we are visiting the Fruitland Park Library, and we have two special guests with us today, and they have lots of questions about manatees. Why don't you all introduce yourselves?
I'm Miss Megan, and I'm the Children and Teens Librarian at Fruitland Park Library.
Hi, I'm Miss Carrie, and I work at the circulation desk.
Now, I know that you guys are very curious about the manatees, so we've got a lot of things to talk about today. So who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Miss Carrie. I know your first question's important.
All right. Okay, it's either a question for either. How big do manatees get?
Oh, I know the answer to that one.
Ricky?
Good.
All right. Well, normally an adult manatee could be about 10 feet long
Wow.
and weigh about 1,000 pounds.
Wow.
Some can even get bigger than that, and just like people, some are longer, some are shorter, some weigh less, some weigh more.
Or if they're having a baby, they get...
That's right.
Now, do you know how big the biggest manatee was?
No.
How big?
3,500 pounds and 13 feet long.
Oh my goodness.
Very, very big.
Yes.
But most of them don't get quite that big.
Does it live in the state of Florida, or was it from here?
I don't know where that one was from.
Probably not. The
Okay.
kind of manatees that we have here in our lakes and around Florida are called West Indian manatees. And they're not quite as big as some of the other subspecies of manatees that you might find other places.
Okay.
So I don't know for sure, but I would guess that giant manatee is
Someplace.
probably not from right here.
Yeah, wouldn't that be amazing to see somebody that big?
That would be fun.
Big as a boat.
Oh, Megan, how about you?
So I heard that manatees are also called sea cows. Why are they called that?
Sea cows. Well, you know, I think that name kind of came from back in the day. You know, these guys, they're slow moving, they're grazers, kind of just like cows, but they live in the sea, so sea cows.
That makes sense.
But you know what was funny is that old sea captains way back in the 1700s, they thought these manatees were mermaids.
Oh my goodness, that's silly.
That would be so silly, but wouldn't it be fun to see a mermaid?
That would be very cool. And I guess if you were on a boat for a really long time,
Maybe.
maybe that looked like a mermaid.
Maybe. All right. What else do we want to know?
Well, let's see here. Are manatees considered a fish, or are they a mammal?
Ooh, that's a good question. Are manatees a fish or a mammal? Well, manatees, they are not fish, even though they live in the ocean. They are mammals. And they do give birth to live babies. They don't lay eggs or things like that. They give birth to a live calf, and that calf will suckle from its mom, kind of right around in here. The baby will get the milk from the mama, and it will stay with the mama for about 2 years.
Oh, wow.
So imagine that, Ricky Raindrop, if you had to leave your mama after 2 years only.
She would have been very, very happy. You know, other things about manatees are, of course, they drink milk and they're born alive and not through eggs and so on. Manatees have hair on their bodies as well.
They do.
And almost always, manatee babies are born, just like human babies, only one at a time. Very, very rarely there might be twins.
Wow.
Well, that's interesting.
That's cool.
And a mama will be with her baby. It might take her a year before she actually gives birth to that baby. But she's teaching him in the 2 years or so that she has her calf with her. She's teaching that calf everything she knows. Where's the good food to eat? Where do I stay warm in the winter? Eat this. Stay away from that boat. All the things that a mama needs to teach a baby
That's
manatee.
good. All right. So you mentioned food. What kind of food do manatees eat?
Oh, that's a great question. Manatees are what we call herbivores, which is sort of a word like vegetarian. So they only eat plants, mostly seagrass and things like that. If they're in human care, sometimes they'll eat lettuce, and their favorite kind of lettuce is romaine lettuce. And they will eat, an adult manatee will eat upwards of about 100 pounds of food every day.
Wow, that's
They-
a lot of food.
Yeah, they eat 6 to 8 hours a day.
That's why they're so big.
Yeah, that's right.
And then sleep just about the rest of that time as well.
Will they eat the lily pads sometimes too, I wonder?
They will, a lot of their favorite food are like the hyacinths and the water lettuces and things like that. We're trying to get them, we love for them to eat some of that hydrilla that causes us such problems here in our lakes, but
No luck.
they're not as big a fan of that. They're picky eaters
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
just like we are.
Right.
But they do mostly want to stay along the shoreline because that's where the most plants are. And if you
Right,
weigh
they'll save
1,000 pounds and you have to eat 10% of your body weight every day, you don't want to waste energy going across a big lake. You're going to stay right where your food
Let's
is.
take a chance on
Yeah.
something else.
Yes, that makes
Exactly.
sense.
Wow. Let's see here. Is there any better time of year to see the manatees?
Well, absolutely. The winter time is the best time to see them when they are in our freshwater systems because the water in the ocean drops down into the 50s and 60s, and just like humans, ooh, that's very cold. They like it warm like we do. So they come into the springs where the water is about 72 degrees all year round. They'll come in the winter time so that they can stay warm because manatees, they are not fat. They don't have blubber like seals do or walruses do to keep them warm. They just have big bones and they have big lungs that run across the top of their body and a big giant belly underneath. So most of that is not helping to keep them warm. So that's why we can go to Blue Springs State Park or Homosassa Springs State Park and visit the manatees.
Priscilla, do you think those giant lungs are why manatees can stay underwater for 15 or even 20 minutes at a time without breathing?
That is exactly right, Ricky Raindrop. They can, let's everybody take a breath right now. Take a breath in. Now let your breath out. Now in your lungs, you just put fresh air. How much fresh air do you think you put back in? Did you put 100% in? Did you put half of it in? Did you put 10% in? What do you think, Megan?
I don't know. Maybe 10%?
You know what? That's exactly right. When we're normally breathing in as humans, we're only exchanging the air in our lungs at about 10%. Manatees can do almost 90%. That's almost all of the air in their lungs. They can change out when they come up to breathe. They come up to the surface, get that fresh air, and then they can go back down. And they can, like Ricky Raindrop said, that they can stay down there sometimes for 15, 20 minutes.
You know, Professor, manatees, like us, they breathe air, so they have to come up, put their nose out of the water to breathe. But manatees only breathe through their nostrils, not through their mouth.
Oh, wow.
And their nostrils, when they go back down under the water, they can close their nostrils. Sort of like we could close our eyes if we went under the water,
Right.
but that keeps them from getting water in their nose.
It's like when we jump into a pool and we pitch our nose. That's what they do, only they don't have to use their flippers like I have to use my fingers. And also, Ricky mentioned that how we close our eyes. Well, manatees, they have a little membrane. They don't have eyelids. They have a little membrane, kind of like a snake does or a shark, that will cover just to protect their eyes. But even though they're swimming in kind of murky water, dark water sometimes, they have pretty good eyesight as well. Who knows who the manatee is most closely related to?
I know,
I don't know.
I know.
Megan, do you have a guess?
Oh my goodness. A dolphin maybe?
A dolphin? What is your guess?
I'm stumped on it.
Ricky?
He knows.
An elephant, Professor
An
Priscilla.
elephant.
Wow.
Yes, an elephant can use its trunk to pick up food. Manatees also, they can move their lip two different sides, and they can help to get their food, and they'll also use their flippers to push food into their mouth. And if you look at the toes, they have little toenails on their flippers that look just like elephants' feet do.
Oh, wow.
And if you think about a manatee's color and the little hairs that Ricky mentioned, very similar to an elephant's skin.
You know, the coolest thing that helps scientists know that elephants and manatees are distant cousins,
Yeah.
500 times removed or something like that, have to do with their teeth. Elephants and manatees have what we call marching molars. So the kids know that when you lose a tooth, human tooth, another tooth grows right up through the same opening. And how many sets of teeth do humans have in their lifetime?
2.
Just two.
So we really have to take care of them. But with elephants and manatees as well, their teeth start out in the very back of their mouth and slide, and I mean real slow, slide like a glacier into place. They eat their food they don't have any sharp teeth because they're herbivores or vegetarians, so they use teeth like we have in the back of our mouth to grind up the plants that they're eating. But mostly it's the front part of the tooth that is getting all the wear and tear and the sand that's in the water and stuff like that. So when that tooth wears down and wears out, it falls out, usually in several pieces, and another tooth will slide into place after them. Throughout their lifetime, they could have up to 6 sets of teeth if they live to old age.
Wow.
And you know, speaking of old age, does anybody have a guess? How old do you think manatees would live in the wild without any predators? Manatees don't have any predators, except unfortunately for humans. How old do you think a manatee could be?
80?
80? What do you think?
Maybe like 60s?
60? That's absolutely correct. Manatees in the wild could live up to 60 years.
Wow.
Unfortunately, in captivity, they live maybe 10 to 20 years max. But because of their interactions with humans, with people, many of them do not make it past their second birthday.
That's sad.
Yes, it is, because we have to be careful when we're out enjoying our lakes and our oceans. We have to remember that we are now visiting their home.
Right.
And we have to watch to make sure that when we start our boat up, is there a manatee hanging around our propeller? If so, we have to wait until that manatee goes away so we don't hurt them.
Or throw your trash out.
Exactly, because keep in mind, as Ricky Raindrop said, manatees have to come up to the surface to breathe. What if you left your fishing line in the lake and it got tangled in there and it couldn't come up to the surface? That would be very bad. So we make sure that all of the trash we see, we put away properly, that when we are out boating and enjoying our lakes, that we are letting these guys enjoy as well.
Sure, it's their home.
And the kids who are watching today should help their parents remember that there are manatees in our lakes right here in Lake County, and that we have to be extra careful, especially in the wintertime when the manatees are inland, that we don't go very fast in our boats, that we have a lookout to watch out for manatees and obey all the rules, because nobody wants to see anything bad happen to these
That's right.
beautiful creatures.
And and it's interesting because we did not have manatees in Lake County ever before. It's only been for the past 5 or 6 years that these guys have come to visit us.
Interesting.
And now I think Lake County is kind of their vacation home. They're like, hey, let's go down there. There's good eating down there. So they are coming to visit more and more. What other questions do we have? What else do we want to know?
You guys talked about a lot of the questions that we had already. So a lot of our friends, after they're done watching our video, if they have more questions about manatees, or if Miss Carrie and I want to learn more about manatees, is there a website that we could go to learn more?
Most definitely. There are many different websites. First of all, you can go to the Lake County Water Authority's website. That is lcwa.org. You can visit that website, and we also have links to activities, and we're actually going to do one of those in just a few minutes.
Awesome.
And also, you can visit the Save the Manatee Club. They have Manatee where you can watch the manatees in the
Awesome.
springs.
Yeah. And I just happened to be looking around out in the children's section, and I know that the Fruitland Park Library has several great books on manatees that the kids
Absolutely, we
could
do.
read.
That's a very good point, Ricky Raindrop. So, boys and girls, if you are interested in reading more about manatees, come to the library. They have lots of books, and Miss Carrie and Miss Megan will be happy to help you find some. Now, how about we make a manatee puppet?
That sounds like so much
Yeah.
fun.
All
definitely.
right.
Cool.
All right.
Well, boys and girls, now how about if we make a manatee puppet? How does that sound, Carrie
Sounds
and
like
Megan?
fun.
Cool. So this is what we're going to make.
Neat. Oh, fun.
Now, boys and girls, here's what you need. You need a lunch bag, a brown paper bag,
Okay.
a crayon, some glue, and a pair of scissors. This is available on our website, and you'll also be able to get them here at the Fruitland Park Library as well. You'll cut out each of your parts. You'll cut out the manatee's face and his lower lip. Here's his 2 flippers and his big tail. Now, if you want to make it easier, you can actually color your manatee before you cut the pages out. We went ahead and cut ours out already. Now, first thing we're going to do is let's go ahead and let's get our manatee head glued on. So we'll take that manatee. Mostly, you want to put the glue, and I'll borrow yours for a second. You want to put the glue right across the middle, because a little bit of the top of his head and a little bit of his lip is going to stick out. So you'll glue it on the back side right around in the middle. Very good. And we're going to do it, we're going to glue it on the bottom side of the bag so that it's like this. Very good. We'll push it all down. Next, let's get his lower lip. That's that little smiley piece there. And we're going to put glue on that whole thing. Okay.
All right. Glue
Very
this on.
good. And then we're going to stick it on the bottom part of the bag just so that you can see it just like that.
There we go.
Excellent. Now, let's get his flippers because he needs to be able to shove food into his mouth.
Absolutely.
So we'll take one of each of his flippers, and we just need to put the glue. Now, we're going to put the glue on the front or the back, either way, and we're going to stick it on the bag right inside. See that little crease in there? So I've stuck mine right inside. Okay. Very good. You all are very crafty. And then our last, once we have our 2 flippers on, well, he needs a tail because his tail is how he moves through the water. So we're going to put his tail on, and all we need is just to put a little bit of glue right across the front. And then we'll stick it on the bottom, on the front side, so that when I put my hand in the bag, you can still see his tail.
Looks great. Whoa!
Look at that!
How cool is that? How fun!
Good job, everyone. And you know what? I even gave mine a little bit of tongue, a little tiny tongue in there. So you can color and decorate your manatee however you want. And boys and girls, I hope you had fun today learning about manatees
That's
with
so cool.
Ricky and Carrie and Megan.
Thank you guys.
Thank you for coming.
Bye, everyone. Have a great day.
Fun fact: a manatee's tooth is about the size of a quarter.